So I think Mega Sableye was a great addition to the Mega Pokemon roster. Now, I think Base Sableye could have been a really good Pokemon with its really good defensive typing of Ghost and Dark, and its really good ability being Prankster, with a really good moveset with moves like, let's say, Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, Recover, and Knockoff, just to name a few. So Sableye seems like it would be a really good utility mon, right? However, the problem is that it has really low stats that really holds it back. You have not a single stat above 75, which really sucks. Because if it had more bulk, I could easily see this Pokemon be good. Like, imagine Sableye with Spiritomb stats. That would make it a much better Pokemon. Now, with Mega Sableye, they kept it as a utility mon, but it plays completely different from regular Sableye, which is something I find cool. Instead of playing as a Prankster utility mon, where you can fire out something like, let's say, Will-O-Wisp or Thunder Wave to cripple your opponents, you actually play as anti-lead now. What is an anti-lead, you might ask? Well, picture this. You started a game with Fortress. Fortress is a Pokemon that likes to set up hazards. Fortress usually runs something like, let's say, Stuff Rock, Spikes, let's say, Rapid Spin, sometimes Gyro Ball, sometimes Body Press, sometimes it will run Volt Switch to switch out. And with Mega Sableye having the new ability being Magic Bounce, which what it does is reflects any kind of status moves to your opponent. So, for example, like let's say with Fortress, you use Stealth Rocks. Instead of me having Stealth Rocks on my side, you're going to have the Stealth Rocks instead, since they get reflected. It doesn't only reflect hazards though, it also reflects stuff like, let's say, status moves like Toxic or Thunder Wave, or moves that will disable your moves like Taunt, or moves that will give you stat boosts or stat lowers like Swagger, right? Also, with the addition of being a ghost type, means you're immune to normal types, which means you're also immune to stuff like, let's say, Rapid Spin, which counteracts not being able to get rid of your hazards, which is really nice, while also bouncing back Defog with Magic Bounce. And just say that you do switch out if you start off with Fortress, since it counters Fortress pretty much perfectly, you will still suffer from something, let's say, Will-O-Wisp, or Toxic, or Thunderwave, or Knockoff, right? That's a huge thing to lose. You could, or just have Mega Sableye in the back of your team, and say you're facing a Pokemon and your opponent has Toxic. They have to second guess, should I use it? Should I not use it? He could switch into something like, let's say, Sableye, and I could get bounced back my Toxic. I could switch out, I could not use a move, I could stay in, etc. And Mega Sableye still keeps a really good defensive typing of Ghost and Dark. Ghost and Dark is immune to 3 different typings, one of which is being Fighting, which Fighting is one of the best offensive typings in the game, while also resisting Poison, and then weak to Fairy, which is its only weakness. That's absolutely amazing. While Ghost and Dark isn't the best offensively, it doesn't really matter since Mega Sableye is a defensive Pokemon. Now, all these qualities do not matter unless Mega Sableye has really good stats. Now, let's look at these stats. These stats are amazing. These stats are exactly what Mega Sableye needed to be good. Mega Sableye has an amazing 125 physical defense stat and a 115 special defense stat. That's absolutely amazing. Sadly, the HP is really low. 50 is not what you want, but hey, at least you have really good defensive stats to make up with that. Mega Sableye doesn't have the best offensive stats in the game. 85 is not that great, but hey, Mega Sableye doesn't use its offensive stats that much since you can just use stuff like, let's say, Toxic or Will-O-Wisp to actually do chip damage, as well as having access to stuff like Knockoff to get rid of your opponent's items, which is really nice. And then 20 speed, which seems like it would be really bad, but for Mega Sableye, say something like, let's use U-Turn, for example. You can still Thunder Wave or Will-O-Wisp the new Pokemon that comes out, which is really nice. And if you really wanted to, you don't even have to Mega Evolve straight away. You could just keep regular Sableye at the moment and just use their Prankster ability, because Prankster is still a really good ability, right? Having 1+ priority in any status move, that's really good. And you could just Mega Evolve later on if you need to use it. With that being said, I think Mega Sableye was an amazing addition to buff a really weak Pokemon that really needed help, who had the potential to being really good, but really suffered from having horrible stats.